Welcome to Layers of Communication with your host, Lydia Taggart. Life presents experiences that add layers to who we are and how we see the world, affecting how we communicate. Lydia is here to take apart the layers and create new ways to connect and build relationships. So now, please welcome the host of Layers of Communication, your core boss, Lydia Taggart.
I'm Lydia Taggart, and this is Layers of Communication. I'm super excited you're here today. Our guest, Monica, she got sick. So we're hoping that she is feeling well and getting better, getting all the rest that she needs so she can join us another time. We're going to reschedule that. And today we're just going to see where inspiration takes us, because sometimes that's the best way to go. Pretty much all the time. You got to live by inspiration, right? So let me know you're here. Let me know if you can hear me. We've got some construction going on around here. I hope you can still hear and get goodness out of this. Let me know if you can hear me. And I just want to talk today about a couple things. First of all, when we have a goal, we have something that is really valuable and awesome to us, we like to focus on it. And sometimes it can be all-consuming, and we neglect other pieces. So we want to avoid neglecting things as we're reaching for our goal. And there's been a really big movement, really big, awesome movement in empowering women. And it's so amazing to see all these women going out and making big, awesome stuff happen. Sometimes we might be forgetting our men. Men are incredible too. And this was really, I'm sorry, my table is shaking a little bit. This was really made so clear to me yesterday, and I don't know why, but it was just everywhere I looked, I was like, oh, what a good man. My husband is not the only good man out there. He's pretty awesome. Love my husband so much. He's not the only one. There's a lot of other good men out there too. I was watching this sweet dad help his son, who's like 4 or 5 years old, give a presentation at church. And so this little boy is up at the pulpit, and he's reading his talk, his scriptures, and sharing. And you can see the dad kneeling down next to him, not whispering in his ear or anything, but he's mouthing the talk along at the same time as the boy is saying it. You can tell that he's practiced with him, and he's just really loving and supporting his son. It was so precious. Just loved it. And then afterwards, later on in the day, he sat next to his son up on the stand in front of everybody, and they were singing the songs together, and his son leaned over and put his hand on his dad's arm. It was just so precious. And then later on in class, there's nothing more precious than watching a little baby fall asleep in a parent's arms. And this dad was loving on his little baby girl and just patting her, and she's nuzzling into his shoulder, falling asleep. Just so good. I'm like, there's another good man. He's loving his baby. And another great father in a class later. They have the nursery and the younger kids, right? And one of these girls, I don't know, she got hurt or something. She was crying and having a bad day. And instead of taking the little girl to the mom, they brought her into the dad. And they didn't even say anything. They just said, here's your daughter, sat her on his lap, and he hugged his little girl. He was like, oh, are you okay? And I was like, oh, there are some really good men. There's a lot of hype about the Me Too stuff, and that men are bad, and men get afraid of doing something wrong. Like they're always in trouble, right? Oh, and there's still some good men out there. And then I also had the privilege of joining in a meeting that I hadn't ever been in before, where the leaders of the church, mostly men, but not all men, obviously I was there, they're in there having this discussion. And they're talking about who needs help and how can we help them. How can we collaborate all together as a neighborhood to help the people who need help. And everybody's talking about, oh, did you see so-and-so's yard needs help? And can we get a service project over here? And maybe these people. And they listed off all these names, probably 5 to 10 names of people who needed help, and trying to organize how to help and just share more love with these people. Some of them are elderly, some of them are going through a hard time, and just this outpouring of love. And a lot of times I had a conversation with a friend that was actually saying, because of the men and the way the church is being led, it's hurting more people. And if she could just see the love and caring and trying to help people from this meeting, it was amazing. So I just want to do a little shout out. The men are awesome. Don't give up. If you are having a hard time getting like a communication or relationship in a peaceful place, don't give up. There are good things in our men just as much as there are good things in the women in the world. There's a balance. We're different, and we need to come together to make things happen the way they should happen, the way that we can happen. Imagine taking all this empowered women awesomeness and take the men and their power and strength. If we can combine our power, instead of saying women are strong, no, men are strong, no. What if we said we are all awesome, bring it together and be awesome together? Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't it be so amazing? All right, I see Peggy on here. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Michelle. I'm glad you guys are here. This is Lydia Taggart with Layers of Communication. We're going to talk more about communicating. I'm really excited about this little piece I got for you today. It's kind of a new realization, so I'm super excited about sharing this with you. Michelle says she met a man who doted in his friend. Doted? Is that right? It was so awesome to watch him care and see her needs while he doted. Yeah, doting on was while he was doing. Oh, that's so sweet. See, good men. There's good men in the world. All right, I've got to tell you also, what's the date? May 2nd, I'm going to be having a class at my house to play in the layers of communication and get through some fun experiences on how to connect and communicate in a different way. So let me know if you're interested in that. That's going to be super fun. It's going to be in my home, an intimate setting, not very many people, so we can give you the 100% attention that you need to break through and connect through all these layers. Okay, now we'll talk a little bit more about my new awesome realization. And I apologize too, Monica is not going to be here. It's just me today, unless somebody wants to hop on and join our conversation. That would be really great too. So sometimes teenagers, they're turning into young men. Oh, I've got to talk about another great man. There's the Boy Scouts, right? And they do service. They're kind of known as this reputation of help the little old woman across the street, and they find ways to serve and help people. Well, there's part of the Boy Scouts called the Order of the Arrow, and my son is a part of the Order of the Arrow, and this is like the service club of the Boy Scouts. So service-oriented, such great men in there. So my son, he's 16, Stephen, and we didn't know about this event on Sunday, yesterday. Sorry, but Shelly's in her pajamas. That was funny. I won't bring you on if you're in your PJs. So they were invited to go and do a presentation somewhere, and we didn't hear about it until, well, pretty much yesterday, about an hour before they were supposed to go. And so they're saying, who wants to go? Who wants to ride? Come meet at my house, and I'll drive you and whatever. Well, my son goes, what? There's an Order of the Arrow thing? I gotta go. He didn't know what it was. He didn't care. He said, there's something to do and serve. I am on it. And he went and got his little uniform on and He didn't go for a walk with us. We were going for a family walk. He says, nope, I have an opportunity to serve. I'm going to go do it. And I had no idea what it was, really. I got a message today. Oh, and the other great man, Rick, he says, oh, I'll come and get Stephen. I'll come pick him up. And they drop everything if there's someone who needs something. And it's really amazing to see. And just so much love in these men. They're really great people. So anyway, Rick takes Stephen. And then today, this morning, I got a message from him saying, Stephen did really great. I'm like, oh, what did he do? He did really great. He was a little nervous about the amount of people who were there. There were a lot of people. But once he got in it, he did great. I'm like, oh, he did something in front of a lot of people, some sort of presentation. I'm not even sure what it was, but he did well enough to get Rick to tell me that he did awesome. And then, how thoughtful is that to tell the mom that your kid is doing great? I think that's just awesome. You don't have to go and tell them how awesome they are. So what can we learn from this? There's an ability to go and do something and serve when we love. Women love and men love, and it's a different kind of thing. And I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about genuine loving from the soul to the soul to soul, connecting at the core. And I think service is one of those keys to really get into the heart and soul of the people that we love, who we want to love, who need to be loved. And, it's just amazing. And then we can report back. Reporting back is so awesome. Other moms out there, you feel this? Like if somebody says your kid is great, that's so awesome. I did a good job one day or something as a mom, helping him get to that place, right? And I try really hard. If I see there's a family at Capriati's where I work doing the sandwich stuff. There's a little family in there, mom and 2 kids, and they were so polite and good. And so I made sure I told her, your kids are so well behaved and adorable, and they're just really great. If you go and tell someone that they have done a good job or something that they are affecting is working, it makes the world a better place. And it just brightens us up. So awesome. I want to make sure I'm not going over time today. We're going to probably cut it a little bit short. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just get talking. Michelle says her little 12-year-old will jump at the opportunity to serve. Yes, they are so sweet, these kids. And, we think that they're irresponsible, immature little people, and we think teenagers in particular, and as they're 12, getting into that phase of I'm not really a kid, who am I supposed to be? I'm going to be independent and on my own. There's this transition time of moving forward, and the parents and all the adults are like, oh, but you're a kid, stop. You can't be in charge. I haven't taught you everything yet. And we want them to know everything before we let them go out on their own. We can't teach them our entire lifetime before they're an adult because we have so much more life than they do, right? And we just can't condense it that much. And we have to let them have their own experiences to learn and grow from. We can't all be just book smart. And that's kind of what it is when we're teaching our kids. We give them the book smart. And then they have to go out and be on their own and get the street smarts to make it a complete learning experience and be able to be a fully, not functional adult, because we have plenty of functional adults that aren't really mature or progressing the way that I hope my kids continue to progress. We have a lot of adults that are old enough to be called adults, but they still are lacking self-motivation or confidence and all these things that we want them to have before we release them into the real world as parents. So there's this time in the middle where it gets maybe frustrating or confusing, where we just need to let them be who they are, but we still need to teach and guide them our from our experience and from our love, from our heart. And so here's one of the things that I just loved yesterday. I was realizing, teenagers, sometimes they say, I know, and they think they know everything, or we get the impression that they think that they know everything, and then we want to shut down and stop talking to them. But maybe, what if we've told them a lot of times and they do know? Well, what if they really do know? What if they listened the 500 other times that we told them that they needed to clean their room or whatever it was? What if they did listen and they don't need another reminder? Maybe we can just have shorter conversations and touch on that reminder instead of going into the full-on hour lecture, which I'm kind of guilty of sometimes. I tend to talk a lot. I like to talk, and my one boy is very much a talker, and we can compete of who talks more. But he's also very vocal about his feelings. And we need to also remember, as much as it is important for us to allow ourselves to feel our feelings, we need to allow other people to feel and experience their feelings too. And that's where we get stuck a lot too. We don't want other people to feel sad or frustrated. We just want everyone to be happy, and we don't want to acknowledge that, we have feelings and they have feelings, and it's all good. We're supposed to have feelings, right? So when we get to this conversation and we're saying, oh, okay, so here's the example. Teenager, this side's teenager, this side's parent, okay? Teenager says, I have a problem, blah, blah, blah. And the parent says, oh, you have a problem? Yes, blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, maybe you could blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, how do I do that? Because that's what we get a lot, right? As teenagers, that kind of attitude comes out. How do I do that? That doesn't even make sense. Blah, blah, blah. And so the parent over here, they're like, well, my kid's asking me for advice, so I can tell them everything for 2 or 3 hours and see how much of my life experience I can squeeze into this little, I want to understand something. Or they only want to understand this little something. But we want to tell them this whole big picture of how the whole thing fits in the whole planet Earth and the whole plan of existence, and why this is so important to master, this one little thing. But they just want to know this one little thing. So maybe, as parents, we need to kind of tone it down. And I'm talking about myself a lot because I'm a parent. And this is what I learned last night. We don't have to expound all of our wisdom. We can give them a piece. And this goes for any kind of communication. You can give a little piece. If you're writing a book, you don't put all of your wisdom in a book. You can write more than one book. You can. If you're going to visit with a person and try to connect with them, you can do it more than once. You don't have to have all of your life experience in one day or one moment. You can meet with them more than once. That's kind of why you get married, why I got married, because I want to be with my husband more than once. We have eternity to share and grow together. And we can have that with our kids. And as a boss, if you're talking to your constituents, is that the word? If you're talking to the people that you're managing, that you have responsibility over, in any kind of leadership position, if you're teaching a class, if you're a parent, if you're a manager, you have this grand vision of the whole project, the whole experience. And if we can bring it in and say, oh, here's a piece, let's have one chapter of the book today. And tomorrow, we'll talk about the next chapter. Or next week. It doesn't even have to be consecutive. It can, but it doesn't have to be. If we're consistent and we're going through chapter by chapter, layer by layer, then we'll be able to finish the whole book. We'll be able to read the entire book together and have that experience. We can just get there. We don't have to, what I told my son last night, we don't have to vomit all over everybody. We don't have to get it all out. We can share a little here and a little there and process our emotions. And Michelle says she's different because she wants her kids to learn it for themselves. So she teaches them how to get answers for themselves. And maybe because she felt like she was never allowed to figure it out for herself. That's awesome. Yeah, I like my kids to know and figure it out for themselves, but I also expand why they need to figure it out for themselves. And, I ask them questions, and that was getting kind of funny last night too, because I was asking questions, trying to get him to figure it out for himself. He's like, what do you want me to say? But that was just fun. Okay, Michelle has a big aha moment. Why she wants to give all of herself at once. Oh, okay, share with me privately later. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good aha moment. I think for me, it's like the fear of limited time, because time is over everything. We have all these layers. We have the layers of love language, of learning style, the different languages, and they layer in a different pattern depending on who we are. If we have, so the love languages, let's touch on that for a second. Touch is one of the love languages. There's 5 of them, generally speaking. Some are disputed, we'll call it disputed, like time, for example. They say that time is a love language, but I don't think you can have any experience in a communication or relationship without time. Everything takes time. And the others are service, touch, words of affirmation, and gifts. And they can be layered in different closeness to your soul and your heart. So, for example, service is dear to my heart. If you give me some service, it's probably going to touch me more than if you give me a present. And it's not that way with everybody. Getting a gift doesn't touch me as much because it's further out. But we have all of them. Everybody has all of these love languages layered on in their different orders, depending on who we are. And anyway, time is over all of them. Time is a continuous, it's just continuous. It's always there. And so for me, there's been like a lot of stuff in my time. And time, you can only have so much time, and one day you're not going to be here. And so that's where I have I need to get them to know that they really want to learn. And I want them to want to learn, not just me tell them stuff. But anyway, I digress. So if we can shorten it, as I'm rambling on, let's shorten it, and just give them a little tidbit. And then maybe they'll want to read the next chapter. Maybe they'll want to go and experience, well, let's just use a clean room as an example. Maybe they'll want to go say, what is it like to have a clean room? What if I did that myself? I wonder what that would be like. And so if they get this curiosity about what's next, it's like, right, I'm writing a book, right? I'm always writing books. So I'm talking a lot about hooks and grab their interest so that they want to continue reading on to the next chapter. And we can carry that on into our other relationships and communicating if we have some sort of great hook that they want to continue. And that's often raising a question, like what's going to happen next, right? So Michelle's love language, she says service is hardest for her. Yeah, service. Isn't that funny? Because some people, like my son, Stephen, he is so service-oriented. Oh, I wanted to talk to you about, he went to prom. It was so cute. He has really big hands. He's 6'4" and just a big guy. Not big, but tall. And so he's got these hands that he could probably have wrapped around his date's waist. And she's this little petite, cute thing. She's maybe 5'2". And so we had a discussion with Stephen about where you put your hands, what's appropriate. You don't want to put your hands too high up or too low down when you're dancing. It was his first date. And so, bless his little heart, he's one of those good, honest to goodness guys. They are still out there. I'm telling you, there's still good guys out there. Okay, can you see my hand? His hands were so big and her waist was so little. He's trying to put his hand around her waist like this so that he wouldn't touch her in the wrong place. It was so sweet and cute. Anyway, there's good guys out there. There's goodness in people. I think that one of the problems, or challenges, I should say, one of the challenges we have in relationships is we're afraid that all the stuff in the news is with all people, and it's not. It's just not like that. Michelle loves asking questions. Yeah, it was really sweet and cute, and prom was awesome. All right, I want to bring up where did it go? I don't have it up. I was going to tell you more about my class that I'm having. So this class, we're going to play through the layers and get connecting at the core with the people that we love and care about. It's going to be at my house, and it is next Tuesday. Is it next Tuesday already? May 2nd? Is that right? That can't be right. It can't be May 2nd already. May 1st is next Tuesday. Holy cow. Super wow. Next week on Tuesday, we're having a class at my house, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And I hope that you can all come. Well, maybe not all, because not 100 people can fit in my house. But let me know if you want more information on that. I'll be posting that somewhere. And it's going to be really great. Okay, more about what we can do connecting with teenagers. Teenagers, like all of us, they just want to know that they belong. They want to be validated in their feelings and that they are good enough, and they want to have something to offer, right? They want to be, productive is not the right word, but they want to have a value in giving. And so a worth, that's like a worth thing, that if you are able to provide something that someone appreciates, does that make sense? Worth isn't really the right word. Well, we'll find that word later. So we have the hierarchy of needs, and our base needs are food, water, shelter, those kinds of things. And to feel safe, once we feel like we have all those needs met, then we can go to the next level, which is order and structure. So if we're out of control and crazy, and this happens a lot with younger kids too, and we think that they have ADHD or ADD, but really they're just lacking some structure and they don't feel safe enough. Sometimes, not always, sometimes. So if we can take it back down, after structure, then the next one is belonging. We want everybody to belong. We want ourselves to belong. We want to feel like we belong. But if we don't have that structure and routine set in place, it's hard to feel like we belong because we don't know what's expected. And a lot of times with teenagers and kids, and especially with kids like mine who have Asperger's, they need more structure. So then they know, yes, I'm following the rules. Yes, I'm accepted. I'm doing what's right. And if we don't have those limits set for them, they're going to test the limits until they find where those limits are. If we don't have any rules at all, they go so crazy, ADHD, ADD, just bouncing off the walls, going, where are my limits? I can do whatever I want. How do I know if I'm being accepted? I don't know, because I don't know what's expected of me. And we want rules. It sounds really crazy because we don't want to follow the rules. We don't want to be boxed in, but we want to know what's expected. So we can know, and even if a teenager wants to rebel, how can they rebel if there's no rules to rebel against? How can I, as a teenager, go be my own individual person and make myself unique and different if there's nothing to be different from? Everybody needs and wants rules and guidelines, some sort of structure, or say this is what's expected. And if we want to live up to them, or if we want to rebel, that's great. Either way, we can make our own choices. And there's not really, because it kind of interferes with independence if there's no structure or routine. Because the independence comes from making independent choices based on knowledge. And when we have that structure, it provides us a place to gain knowledge. If you're in a classroom and things are just crazy, there's lacking structure. That's just the way it is. And happy birthday to your daughter, Michelle, 15 on Friday. Awesome. And structure helps us feel fulfilled, yeah. And so there's the base needs of food, water, shelter, those kinds of things, base needs. And I put sleep there too. We really need sleep. And we forget teenagers need sleep. They need a lot of sleep. They've got a lot going on. They're not maybe growing as much as a baby physically, but mentally, those neurons and those pathways are developing at such a rate that it wears them out and they're tired. And we need to recover and have sleep. That's a base need. And we get hangry. Everybody needs a nap and a snack. Everybody needs a nap and a snack. When you start having a confrontation or something, go, oh, they must be tired, they must be hungry. Because if we're not tired and we're not hungry, we have our base needs met, then we're able to have a conversation and not be spazzing and freaking out so much. So that's one thing we can think of when we get into a confrontation. Am I hungry? Am I tired? Maybe I just need to breathe a little bit more. Okay, so those are base needs. And then, yeah, teens need as much sleep as a baby. They should be napping all the time. And we push them to go less sleep. They want to stay up all night, getting their homework done or whatever, and then we expect them to get up early in the morning and go have a good, productive, great day at school, but they're tired. Maybe a toddler. Yeah, everybody needs a lot more sleep than we get, I think, especially in America. We are pushing ourselves way too hard. We need to be okay taking a nap if we need one. Okay, base needs, structure and order, belonging, and then after we feel like we belong and we're contributing, there's the word, it's contributing. When we can contribute to society, to our families, to the people around us, when we feel like we're contributing, then that is an accomplishment layer, and that we don't feel that accomplishment and can't really accept the praise that people might give us if we do something good. It's hard to accept if we don't have these lower levels fulfilled before, like if you give a compliment. Have you ever given a compliment to somebody and they're like, oh, right? It's because they don't feel like they belong and enough to accept that compliment. I'm going to say, yes, I've achieved this, and thank you. Thank you. So, let's see. It is about 10:36. Do you guys have any questions today? Let me know if you have any questions. I feel like I'm just talking and talking because I don't have a guest, which is fun. It's fun. I love visiting and talking with you guys, but this isn't one of my classes. You got to come to my class, and we'll have fun and experience fun things. I don't want to talk all day by myself, but I will if there's no questions. And it's a great thing. Okay. Today we have talked about, shaking, sorry. All right, today we're talking about connecting with our teenagers, and really it's anybody, but teenagers are a prime suspect. We have a hard time with teenagers sometimes because we expect them to be grumpy and that transition like we talked about. And it's not just, Michelle says, I'm fulfilling her needs. Awesome. Um, it's not just with teenagers, it's all of us, where we have our needs, this hierarchy of needs, and our love languages. It's amazing how they all just line up so perfectly. They're layered on to who we are. And when we don't have enough sleep, then everything else is out of whack. We're off balance. We can't accept a compliment if we're too tired, or like this morning, my teenager was super tired. He was so tired, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on with you? And he's like, "Grr." I was like, did you have a bad dream last night? Did you not sleep well? Oh, yeah, I didn't sleep very well. And he just melted all away. All the grumpiness melted away because he was validated, and it was okay that he was tired. I think a lot of times we just think it's not okay to be tired. It's not okay to be frustrated. It's not okay to be anything except for happy. But that's not true. It is okay to feel and experience our feelings. Feelings are meant to be felt, and we need to allow that for us and for the people around us. When we just acknowledge, all I had to do is say, oh, did you not sleep well last night? Totally calmed him down. Yeah, okay. He was still tired, but he didn't feel like he had to be grumpy anymore because he was already validated. All right, Michelle says, expectations are huge. What we expect them to be like. Yeah. But we expect them to just be even keel and happy and calm, and it's not like that. Let's see. Her little boy has been complaining about early mornings. Oh yeah, she says she gets it. We get this lack of sleep thing, and every time I watch a movie the last couple of months, I've been not getting enough sleep too. Every time I watch a movie, I fall asleep. My daughter said, this time for girls' night, let's watch the movie first, like before we eat dinner, so you won't fall asleep, Mom. And she's just a sweetheart. Love her to pieces. If we're go all the time, and that's what the world wants us to do, right? That's what's expected of us, to just be going all the time. But we can take a moment for ourselves and just take a break, take a breather. That's why yoga is so great. Dancing and singing has been my favorite thing this last week, this last month. If I can get up in the morning and dance and sing, it doesn't really make if I haven't slept enough, but I dance and sing first thing when I wake up in the morning, then I can carry through the day, because dancing and singing moves our emotions, it moves our bodies, and when you're moving, bodies at rest stay at rest, bodies in motion stay in motion until acted upon by an outside force. And I was thinking, bodies, we are energy, and we have resting energy that we can move. We can act upon that resting energy, and then if we're going, we will keep going. But we will also wear out and fall asleep if we hold still and watch a movie. And that's okay. That's okay. So morning routines are so hard. Yep. You simplify, and allow ourselves to have that peace. All right. We are going to finish up a little bit early today. A lot to cover, a lot to think about, and let's sink in. Let's try and summarize and simplify it. Okay. There are good people out there. There are good men out there, just as well as there are good women out there. We can have loving relationships with any kind of person if we want to, and if they are willing to. There are good people who are willing to. Layer those love languages. Remember that time is over everything. You can't do anything without making time for it. You make some time for yourself, for that conversation that you need to have. Make some time. and make it real time, not like, oh, I'm going to talk to you while I'm on my phone. Set the phone down, give the 5 minutes to your teenager, let them put their phone down and give you 5 minutes. And if you need, then set a timer and say, okay, this is only 5 minutes. We can handle 5 minutes without the phone. And just say, hey, how are you? How can I support you and help you? Do you need a ride somewhere? Do you need new shoes? What do you need? Help and support them. Give them 5 minutes. Allow them to give you 5 minutes of undivided attention and time so you can connect and understand each other. And just don't vomit all over everybody, all your negativity or your stress or your excitement. Give a little piece at a time. We have little pieces, right? Okay, Peggy says, your first class, the first class that I taught her, she took from me, helped her to establish 3 things that she wanted to accomplish every day, and it really made a difference. Yeah, that was so fun too, Peggy. My first class teaching you was my first class teaching and doing our own, and that was in our home as well. That was really great. I love that. I hope you can come to our next class. Our class is going to be on Tuesday night next week, May 1st, and it's going to be really fantastic. Thanks for checking in. Give yourself some time and some love, and remember to allow everyone to feel their feelings, including yourself and including those teenagers. Okay, you're worth it, and so are they. You can find me at lydiataggart.com. I'm your host for Layers of Communication, Lydia Taggart, and we'll see you next week. All right, love you, bye.
You've been listening to Layers of Communication with your host, Lydia Taggart. Tune in next week as we break through the layers in order to communicate and connect down to your core on Lydia Taggart's Layers of Communication.